Vanquish Soul is so back in the year of 2026.
First ball.
That destruction.
Let's call Garrett.
What is up, guys? Welcome to another video. Today is the day the ban list dropped, and holy crap, it was shocking but also super exciting. Razen and Steak back to 3, no longer limited to 1 each, which makes a huge difference. Hello, Maggie, how are you doing? But back to 3, Holly Sue to 1, which is like, oh no, dang it. But actually, the way this changes the deck for the better is kind of insane, because before with Holly Sue, you were kind of limited to, okay, I want to have as much Dark and Fire as the deck as possible to get the turn 0 plays, to get the crazy plays, all that kind of stuff. And that's what makes the deck good, but Vanquish Soul is good for a lot of reasons. But now that Holly Sue is only at 1, the chances of drawing Holly Sue are 1 in 40. And then chances of drawing Holly Sue with the Dark and Fire are even slimmer than that. So you don't have to base your whole deck around Dark and Fire. Like, obviously you want your attributes and you want your combos, but now you have Razen to stake your soul to get your combos, or to use another Earth to get out Holly Sue, which you have Urson, Izuna, and Lupus, and Roy. But it's just so interesting because now Vanquish Soul can be built like a traditional deck, not super focused on those attributes. And we'll talk about that as I go over this deck profile that I'm still tweaking, like tweaking so much, because there's just so much so much testing that you can do now that really will dictate how this game is going to be played. And I'm going to play Vanquish Soul Canine at 300th YCS because the deck is still so good. And so I'm excited to show this off for you. And it's the very first thing, obviously, I'm so excited to show is we are playing 3 Razen, which that feels so good to say in 2026 after this card being banned, because they hit Vanquish Soul so hard on the last ban list. So being able to have a Razen back at 3 is just fantastic. Then of course we're going to max out on all the names as much as we can. We're going to go 3 Mad Love, obviously now, so we have 6 starters already again in the deck, which is, like I said, that's phenomenal. And now with Razen and Steak being back, we're playing Vanquish Soul Canine before. Back before the deck build was Canine Vanquish Soul and was kind of combo slop, but now it is combo with some canine, you know. So I'm really excited. So we are playing 3 Burger, because now you're gonna have that normal summon if you draw Razen and Mad Love and Burger, Burger Mad Love. Like, you have those tag outs now for protection to get draw power, all those things. So it makes sense to play 3. And because, like I said too, there was the Jokel limits, which does hurt the deck some as far as bricking. The same with Case, but now the fire attributes isn't like this dire thing of, oh, what if I don't draw fire attributes in Dark with Holly Sue? So I'm putting Xiaolong down to 2, just because I feel like, obviously you want that level 5, and it is great being able to reveal that for Steak to get Razen, but it doesn't really justify running more than 3 of these, just because now you're not dying for those attributes. Because realistically, if you start with Razen and are able to have at least 1 other attribute in hand, you get full combo regardless. Now it's just not as easy as Holly Sue, reveal Dark Fire, do those things. And then along with the 2 Xiaolongs, we're just running 1 Caesar and then of course the 1 Holly Sue. And as you can tell, the deck is max rarity. So I will say, investment wise, yeah, the Holly Sue hit does hurt a little bit, but otherwise the deck is probably in the best place it's been since pre-hit, honestly. And then of course 3 Stake Your Souls, just such an incredible card and such a great starter, and enables to play around just having that normal summon now as a starter, because you'll still get to Holly Sue just by searching with Razen or using the field spell. And we still only are playing 1 field spell and 1 trap. I considered playing the revive spell, just being able to search it with Mad Love, you know, if we need to get Holly Sue back, but we do have Rock for that recursion. Then going into Canine, this is one where it's kind of interesting because the Saryuja line is dead now with 1 Jokel. With Jokel being limited, Case being limited, that line is dead because it required at least 2 Jokels to make it happen. And so Saryuja is now out of the extra deck, just because you can leave it there if you do get 4 bodies, but I don't feel like that'll ever be the optimal line. Because now the deck is open to more hand traps. Is easier to be hand trapped, but also too you can play more hand traps, so vice versa. But I originally was only going to do 1 Noroi, but I actually am doing 3 just because, like I said, Jiaolong's to 2, and even you could put Jiaolong at 1, which I don't think is the smartest, but this is another starter, and it is the normal summon, so it's like if somehow you had attributes or things to go into Vanquish Soul, awesome. And I mean, ultimately, if you end on Ripper and C104, it's not the end of the world. So still having another great starter. And then we have 3 Azuna, of course. Glad they didn't touch this card. Now kind of this is what you want to special off of Noroi, because you special this, send Lupus, make Ripper, search out Lantern, special back Lupus. There you go, you got your 4 bodies. Just once again, it's not as wackadoodle crazy. Then we have the 1 Jokel, the 1 Lantern, and the 1 Lupus. And so just 1 of each name now. You justifiably could play 2 Lantern now with the 3 Noroi, because you can send Noroi itself to look at the hand, then you can just use Lantern to bring it back, so if you draw both. But I mean, it is a brick, basically a brick if you just draw it. Like obviously if you did that and you search case and you already had a level 5 in hand, sure. But you know, just it's better being safer. And of course you could also play Chaotic Elements, which I did consider, but like I said, we're playing a Vanquish Soul deck with K9 again, so I'm very happy with that. And then of course 1 of each spell with a case for K9 and Force Release. Now onto the hand traps, and there's a new hand trap in the deck that people considered back when Holy Sue first came out, but now I do think it might be one of the strongest in the format. So we have 3 Ash, pretty standard, you know. Ash is always going to be good. We have 3 Fualos, which is also a staple you have to play in the current meta. But this one is the new one. I took out Bell and I'm putting in 2 DD Crow. The reason being, Hapakiri limited to 1, Snatchy limited to 1. Decks like Branded and Radiant Typhoon are going to be really strong in this format. Using Crow on Snatchy, using Crow on Hapakiri, using Crow on Mitsurugi Ritual, using it on Mystical Space Typhoon, using it on Fallen of Albaz, using it on all those monsters that get sent to the grave is just going to be so strong. Like, this format is going to have a lot of stuff coming out of the grave, and so being able to use Crow to get rid of those things is going to be really strong. I think it definitely is going to be one of the stronger hand traps this format. And then we are playing 1 Shifter and 2 Bestials. Once again, the graveyard removal is just going to stay super strong. Draco Tail is going to run rampant this format, and so Shifter is a must play. And then last 2 utility cards, Talents and Reinforcements, just gas. We want more gas going first, because already we're still playing 15 hand traps, counting Azuna and Holy Sue. And so realistically, this deck just has so much push. The extra deck will change with the release of Burst Protocol, and I'll explain, but we have 2 Rock of the Vanquishers and 1 Vanquish Soul Rocks. I think these I think these ratios are perfect. Even when the deck was full power with Holy Sue, 2 was plenty. You could argue playing 3 now, but I always want to keep Vanquish Soul Rocks because I've used it so many times for removal. And then even too, if you're into Lunalight, creating bigger bodies. And this is where the changes will happen. Right now, we are playing 2 Ripper, 1 Jax, and 1 Werewolf. When Burst Protocol comes out, I will be removing 1 Ripper and putting in the new K9 Millennia Ripper, the new monster, instead of 2 Ripper, just because then that quick play recycles and you can just go through all the K9 monsters, and that's a Zeus built into the archetype, so it's really strong. And then we are sticking with the traditional Nesh Knight package, just because tried and true. And like I said, this will still be really great with the current deck build, regardless of the changes that were made. And then we have 1 Tyrus. This is still an incredible card that is a mainstay of the deck now if you're playing K9, just because it helps clear the boards. You make this with Azuna and Lupus, turn 0. Go to battle, make Zeus, wipe the entire board. This is a broken card against Draco Tail, and like I said, it's going to be dominating the format. Then we have 1 SP, 1 Typhon, and 1 Zeus. Just traditional end board pieces, and also 2 removal. The side deck is where we get to have some fun, because like I said, we're not so focused on attributes now, because now we can search all the attributes. There's no reason we have to flood our deck and even focus on that so much anymore. Like, I'd be like, oh, we can't play any spells. We don't want to play a bunch of spells just because then we don't get attributes. And it's still true, you know. But it's so much easier now to tailor your extra deck. And this is probably the part that I'm constantly going to be looking at, just because it really changes a lot. We want to max out our draw power. So we're going to play 3 Perulia, of course, and then 3 Meows, where I still think this card is going to be incredible in the format, just because Radiant Typhoon, their new card specifically, is specialing from Grave. The new Tri-Brigade Springen's Kit specials from Grave. The Yummy deck still does it, Mitsu still does it. So there's tons of decks that still do it, where you still get those draws. Then of course, 2 Droll instead of 3 now with the new hits. It isn't necessarily evil. Mitsu did get significantly weaker with only 1 Haba and no Herald of Arclight, but Droll still is necessary for the format, unfortunately, for decks like Mitsu. So always have to play it. And this is where I was playing this for attributes for removals, Lava Golem, because it's a crazy card. But now, honestly, like, I'm looking at playing Dark Ruler, probably Dark Ruler, or even I saw someone say, I was talking with a good buddy of mine who's very smart when it comes to game theory, and he talked about playing 3 Change of Heart, because realistically now, Omni Negates aren't really a thing now. Herald of Arclight is gone, so very few decks have true Omni Negates, and so you take the most problematic monster, link it off or whatever you need, you know, or just get rid of that one body and you can still do damage and take the game, instead of Dark Ruler where you clear and try to set up and all that stuff. So just really interesting theory crafting with him. Then we are playing 1 Called By, 3 Imperm, and there can be only 1. And these are all great utility cards in the meta. Peekaboo, of course, Floodgate, sorry guys, but it's a must play in this deck. Called By is even stronger now because of Haba and because of Snatchy, those limits, and then Imperm is so strong now. Just because if you negate that Snatchy is negated, doesn't get the field spell, and if they don't have a name in hand, their turn literally ends. So incredible right now, as well as negating Malulu, negating Lucius, negating all those other cards. But guys, I am so excited for what Vanquish looks like in 2026. I thought the deck was going to completely die, but they put Holy Suit to 1, gave us back Razen the Stake, and even the K9 hits. Yeah, they hurt, but it doesn't really matter, because now we're just playing Vanquish with some K9, and honestly, I prefer that deck. So let me know down in the comments what you guys think of the current state of the meta now post-ban list, or what changes are going to happen, or how good you think Vanquish is going to be. So make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.